And this is where curiosity comes in, right? I mean,
Totally.
you have to be curious. I like to be curious about all levels of the communication. So it's not just curiosity in what they're saying, it's how they're saying it. What is their face saying? What is their body language? These are the things that I look for in a conversation to help relieve pressure, to allow for safety.
The people around us, that could be our colleagues, our friends, our family, our clients, our investors, whoever, our spouses, they hold in their heads and in their hearts perspectives, ideas, insights, wisdom, information, feedback for us that if we could actually find out what they were really thinking and feeling, we would be better off together. We would be closer in our relationships. We would save time together. We wouldn't make as many mistakes. I mean, we would make better decisions, innovate, all of these kinds of things. The problem is that too often they don't actually tell us the most important things that they're thinking and feeling. They're keeping them private in their heads for all kinds of reasons. And so, in the book, I talk about what are the biggest things people around you probably aren't telling you, and why are they not telling you those things. But it wouldn't be a problem if we could read their minds. But it turns out we are really bad at reading their minds. And even trained like TSA experts are no better than Chance at really knowing what's good. And some of the most conventional wisdom that we get about how to read other people's minds, things like try to put yourself in their shoes. It turns out that actually doesn't work because we're not in their shoes. Try to read their body language. It actually doesn't work because we don't, what they're showing on their face may not be exactly what they're thinking and feeling. And so we are stuck because there's this great kind of like treasure trove of insight all around us, and we have no way of getting to it. The only way that research has proven reliably lets us know what's on people's minds is simply to ask them. But it's not so simple. It's deceptively simple to actually ask the right questions the right ways. And so that's the problem that the Ask approach is trying to solve. I also see it as an opportunity because if we could actually do this right, we would be closer. We would make better decisions together. We'd be better off together. So now to answer your question, kind of like, what is the Ask approach? It's 5 practices. They are all grounded in research, but they've been tested over time in lots of different contexts. And when we put them together, it gives us the greatest chance of really unlocking this treasure trove of insight, wisdom around us, and bringing us closer to other people. And to your point, it starts with curiosity. Now, step number 1 is choose curiosity. And I'm talking about a very particular kind of curiosity. I'm not talking about like, I'm curious about the history of Russia or why do trees grow the way that they do. I mean, that's interesting too. I'm talking about a very specific kind of curiosity called connective curiosity. That's the kind of curiosity that connects us to other people because it's curiosity about you, your experiences, your stories, your insights, your feelings, what you see, all of that kind of stuff. And when we have that kind of curiosity about someone else, that the sincerity of our curiosity kind of radiates out, and it people can tell when you're authentically curious, and it cultivates in them a desire to share with you as well. And I call this step choose curiosity because I believe that we can choose it. I don't think it's just a trait that some people have and other people don't have. I don't think it's just a state of mind like I'm feeling curious today. Like I really believe it's a decision that's always available to us if we choose it. And when we choose it, what it really means to do is to center in our minds one single question, which is just, what can I learn from you? What can I learn from you? And when that's the question that we have at the center of our minds in any interaction, it starts to push away other things like my judgments about you, or questions like, how do I get you to do what I want you to do? Or why am I so stupid? Or any other kinds of things that block our connection with other people. If I just center, what can I learn from you? It opens up that curiosity. And I think that is something that is so rare for other people to actually feel from someone else, that they just truly want to learn from you. And I believe there really is something that we can learn from every single person, no matter whether they seem like we have, why would I ever learn something from that person? Or even if I seem like my enemy or my opponent, or there's still something I can learn from every single person. So that's the essence of choosing curiosity.
So just a quick point on that, something that I've noticed recently is, I have lots of friends, lots of connections, and the more curious you become, the more you're aware when others aren't curious.
Absolutely.
And it starts to shape friendships and where I invest my time. And I was hanging out with a buddy of mine just this past weekend, and he asked me questions. And sometimes the questions that he asked me with his curiosity actually makes me think about something I had never thought about before. And it's so powerful to me that he's unlocking things in me through that question that I don't even realize how few people are asking those questions of me until those questions start, and they're so simple. And
Can you think of any examples of those questions?
yeah. The other day, something so simple is my buddy asked me a question about real estate that I owned,
Okay.
and it was like, Scott, what are the where are the houses that you own today, and what are their purposes? And it like blew up in my brain because I was like, you know what? I had to think and organize, and I was actually very disorganized, and I was very uncomfortable with how I'm organized in that space. And it has got me into a completely different zone. All through the week, I've been organizing and asking questions of my team and pulling together things. And yes, no matter how well you have things together, folks, sometimes it's not as together as you want it to be. And that simple question had me go, oh, what about that? I forgot about this. And I was embarrassed when I was answering the question. And I said that. I said, I'm honestly embarrassed that I can't answer this with more clarity. But it gave me a direct insight into something that's probably bothering me internally that I need to clean up and help myself have more structure and organization in and around, because it's gotten to a point where I'm curious and understanding why that made me uncomfortable. And it's, I don't know if that's the direction you were looking for, but it like
totally
blew up.
I appreciate that story. I mean, I think it's a good illustration that when we exhibit curiosity to other people, it's a gift. It helps them spark their own thinking. I think coaches know this a lot because coaches use questions all the time with their clients. But I'll tell you in my own life, like I'm very sensitive to when I'm meeting people, the degree to which they express curiosity or not. And my wife and I will often debrief if we go to a party or, get together with people, like how curious do they seem or not? And for me, I like the more curious someone is, the more I like them. It just, and there's actually really interesting research that people did about dating where they had people do this kind of like speed dating, and they had some people ask more questions, other people not ask questions. And the people who asked more questions were rated as physically more attractive than people who didn't ask questions, because it's a gift that you're giving to the other person.
It's not surprising. I mean, I've helped so many people with networking over the course of my career, because people think that it's really easy when you're extroverted. They're like, oh, you just walk into a room, Scott, and you know everybody. And no, I'm 20 something years in business in a community. I run a huge wine festival. I've met so many great humans through that time, but I didn't just meet them. I learned about them. And so my number one tool and trick is go into the room and think nothing about yourself. Just try to learn everything you can from a few people. They will walk out of the room feeling like you were the coolest person they met all day, because all they did was talk about themselves.
That's right. Right. They will say, we had such a great conversation. And of course, they didn't learn anything from you. But nonetheless, it was a great connection for them.
And they're curious about your next meeting. They're interested. If you were to reach out to them and say, hey, Jeff, I'd love to grab coffee with you one day. Do you have some time in the next 2 weeks that we could grab a cup of coffee? You created the curiosity inside of them. Why did he want to know so much about me?
Yeah, exactly.
It's so simple.
I know. It's so true. But you have to choose that curiosity to do it. And I think what you just said is like when you walk into that room, you're making a choice to say, I'm going to get curious about a set of people and go with that.
If you like clips like this, I have a similar clip here. And if you want to watch the full video, click here.